what we're about ready to experience this weekend is one of the greatest weekends that we've had in boxing in a very, very long time. We have 11 championship fights that will be going on between October 12th, October 13th, and October 14th. 11 belts have a chance at switching hands this weekend. That's something you don't see every weekend. And let me just add this point too. There's also a fight this weekend that, when you look at all the big fights that's occurred over the past 24 years of the century now, that many would regard as being in that top 2, 3, at least top 5. We have one of the biggest fights that we have seen and happen and occur in boxing in an extremely long time. All of that will be broken down right now. So let's get to October 12th. I'm going to start off with the Riyadh season card, all right? There's a card that's going to happen before that. I'll address after it, but we just got to get right out of the gates. Riyadh season, we're going back to Saudi Arabia now. Kingdom Arena is going to be one of the biggest fights we've ever seen. And I got to start off with the main event. We'll work our way up to down, but we got to start with the main event. Because what we have in Riyadh season this weekend on Saturday, October 12th, Artur Beterbiev versus Dmitry Bivol. The fight that people have been awaiting for many, many, many years is going to go down this weekend. Let me give you guys backstories for those of you that don't know the details of how big this fight is. Artur Beterbiev, he is 20-0. Dmitry Bivol 23-0. We have two guys going together with undefeated records for a combination of 43-0. If that's not crazy enough for yourselves, let's look at the amateur record for these two guys. For Bivol, 268-15 in his amateur career. As for Artur Beterbiev, his amateur career is 295-4. Do you just hear those numbers? These guys not only dominated professional boxing, they also dominated amateur boxing. They come from the same part of the world where they were closely knitted throughout their entire childhood growing up. Beterbiev, being a few years older than him, was always the top dog. Maybe you could look at his older brother if you really want to call it that. Always being above Bivol to a certain extent, but always competing with each other. And let me give you guys a couple more details here. Artur Beterbiev, he is 20-0 with 20 knockouts. Let me say that one more time. Artur Beterbiev is 20-0 with 20 career knockouts. He is the only professional fighter as a world champion today with a 100% KO ratio. He's regarded as the most powerful and feared boxer in all of boxing. And he will be fighting against Dmitry Bivol, who is 33 years old currently, has only 12 KOs to his record as a total group, but he is considered by many to be the most skilled fighter in all of boxing. This will be the ultimate battle of skill versus power, but it's not just that simple. Because what makes this one different than, per se, Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder or something along those lines is that Beterbiev, by all means, he has also a ton of skill. And Bivol still has some power as well. It's not just one or the other with these guys. They have the full package. And I understand now, yes, we look at this fight, and the biggest thing going on now is that the IBF, the WBC, the WBO, and the WBA light heavyweight titles are all on the line. All 4 belts for the first time in the history of boxing will be unified for an undisputed champion for 4 belts. Now, the last time we even had one undisputed champion in the light heavyweight division was Roy Jones Jr., which he had only 3 belts at that point in time. And that was 25 years ago, 1999, and we have not had one since. But by Saturday night, we will have the first undisputed light heavyweight champion of the world. What we do look at when we talk about Dmitry Bivol, as I said, 33 years old, one of the most skilled fighters in all the world. And when we look at Artur Beterbiev, 39 years old. A little bit older, obviously, but he does not look anywhere near that age when he fights. The biggest thing we're going to have to look at for Artur Beterbiev, he is my favorite to win the fight at this point in time. But here's what we have to look at. He ruptured a meniscus, causing the original fight to be postponed. Fight was supposed to be June 1st. It was postponed, unfortunately, and we obviously had to reschedule it for today, or on Saturday, I should say. What we have now is an option where he's going to have to deal with the meniscus injury. It wasn't that long ago. How did he bounce back, recover at his age to be able to fight? Yes, his power should still be there A-okay, but can he move around and keep up with the speed of Bivol because of the injury? And how healthy is he with that knee injury? I don't have the answer for you guys. We'll have to figure that out on Saturday. He looks great, though. Absolutely incredible. But that's what we have at the main event for the Riyadh season card. There is not a fight that we have had scheduled bigger than this one. I understand my folks in America might not fully grasp the totality of how significant this is because neither one of them are household names per se in America. Bivol has a little bit larger name because of his beat down on Canelo Alvarez. But this fight, when you know boxing, it doesn't get bigger than this. This was the biggest fight you could have made in boxing, and it's going down. For a lot of people, you could say that this is a battle of two top 5 pound-for-pound fighters. Regardless, it's 2 top 10, probably top 8, I think I've seen everybody, but you might swap some of the names around. The most intriguing thing about this fight, though, for me, is that where's the winner of this go? We all know the top 3, Alexander Usyk, Bud Crawford, Inoue, rank them as you want, is solidified as those top 3, and there's a big gap between 3 and 4 and 5 and everybody else. But where does the winner of this go? Their legacies are already going to be submitted. One's going to be undefeated with an incredible resume put together, and one's going to be undisputed light heavyweight champion of the world. That's my biggest question. Depending on the performance we see from the victor of this fight, what happens on that pound for pound list? Does one of them become number 1 or 2 or 3? We'll have to see what happens. But this fight is going to be mega. Remember, there's no rematch clause. Now, I would hope there would be a rematch, especially if it's a good fight. But this fight is all or nothing for these guys. This fight is going to be a mega, mega fight. It does not get much bigger than this. And this will be one of the biggest fights that we have seen in a very, very long time. You could argue that it is possibly even the biggest fight of the 25 years over which we've almost encountered now in this decade or this century. Let's go to the co-main event now. Fabio Wardley, 17-0-1 versus Frazer Clarke, 2. He's got a record of 8-0-1. This will be for Wardley's British heavyweight title. Now, anybody that recalls the first fight, many regard as potentially the fight of the year. Lots of great boxing fights. Okay with whatever you want to say for that answer there. But it ended in a draw. Easter weekend, 2 big heavyweights thugging it out, getting after it. An incredible fight of great tenacity, great aggression, great fighting. Had a lot of power, pushed through a lot of adversity in that fight, made it one of the best fights you're going to see this year. We get that rematch this weekend, folks. It's going to be a fight that obviously everybody's focused on. Better be a Bill. But this undercard got a lot of good things too. Don't get that mistaken. And so when we see this potential now, Wardley, Frazer Clarke. Frazer Clarke is dropped in the first fight, but he had an incredible bounce back in the second half. Then we're talking about Wardley. He's had all but one of his fights in his career have ended with a KO. That's going to be a massive fight to see at the heavyweight division. Both these guys are guys that are regarded as possibly top 10 to 15-ish range heavyweights. The winner of this obviously will have to move up in that rankings. But 2 guys that know how to put together a great fight. Absolutely love both of them. They're both great guys. They're fun to watch. They're entertaining. They know how to hype up a fight. We're going to see those guys go down for the co-main event. Let's go to another championship fight we got here with the belt on the line. Jai Opetaia, 25-0. We'll be fighting Jack Massey, 22-2 is the record there. My apologies. For Opetaia, his IBF and the ring cruiserweight titles will be on the line for this one. Now for Massey, let's go through this a little bit. I just want to give you guys a little picture of how much his life has changed recently. He was working on a scaffold field site when he was offered the fight of his career against heavyweight Joseph Parker in 2023. Now he lost that fight, but anyone that recalls that fight, he had a great performance there and it opened up the opportunity for him then to go pursue other fights. And that led to a sensational win against Isaac Chamberlain just a little bit ago in his last contest. He now puts himself in position to go take out the guy in which many believe, including myself, to be the best cruiserweight currently in boxing in Jai Opetaia. This will be the 3rd fight that we're going to have on the main card, and this will be an incredible fight. I would obviously favor Jai Opetaia because I think he is the best cruiserweight in the world, but don't take anything away from Jack Massey because he is an incredible fighter. But I want to say one key point that we have to kind of look at and observe here for Jai. What we've seen in his past 2 fights has been an attacking, powerful puncher. But what's going to be interesting to see here now is that supposedly what we've known now is that his dad is now back in camp with him. His dad brings a lot more of the skill set, and he talked about this in an interview recently, that he's trying to balance the power and aggression and the skill component. If those 2 can come together for Jai, we're talking about an elite fighter now. Here's the biggest thing on the line for this fight, though. Yes, the titles are all on the line. There's a chance that undisputed here that we could have eventually with cruiserweight, especially when we have Saudi Arabia involved. The winner of this fight will have their eyes likely set on becoming undisputed in 2025. How does this get done? Well, we have the CBS Gilberto Ramirez fight going down next month. Mexican fight that we're going to have down in Saudi, I believe, whatever it's at. That's going to be an interesting fight. The winner of that fight, who has 2 of the belts, will be collided. That's a unifying fight. Will then obviously be able to fight the winner of this. Now also we're going to have to go get another belt obviously involved there. But by end of next year, it's not out of the question that the winner of this fight could be fighting for an undisputed championship of the world at the cruiserweight division. Exciting times for there. That's the biggest thing to keep an eye on for that fight. Then we go down to the fight below them. Chris Eubank Jr., 33-3 in his career. And then we're going to have him fighting against Kamil Szeremeta. He is 25-2 at the middleweight division. Key notes to realize here. Chris Eubank is coming off his first fight since September 9th of last year. But that fight was debatably one of his best performances of his entire career, where he defeated Liam Smith in his rematch against him. Great fight, but he has not fought in a little bit. So there might be some rust there I have to keep an eye on. He also made a big move in his career. He switched trainers to Jonathan Banks. That should lead to some form of changing in his movement and how he fights this weekend. Now for Kamil, he has won 6 straight fights since his back-to-back losses against Triple G, Jaime Munguia. Was obviously 2 massive names on his resume. Didn't have great success in those 2 fights. But 6 straight wins ever since then, working his way back up to the main stage. He gets this opportunity now. Should be a great fight. What I look at for Chris Eubank Jr. is that he has a lot to gain from this fight. When you look at the 160 division, which he'd be fighting at middleweight, he has a chance to make his name quite large. I already just addressed it earlier. Jana Beck, he just had his big performance, likely fighting Hamza Shiraz. You have Eris Lara. You have a couple other guys that's good in that weight class. But there's not a lot of depth. A big win here sets himself up for a massive payday or massive fight at 160, maybe even 160 if that's what his heart pursues and desires. So that's what we got in that fight. And then we have a new twist to the Saudi Arabia Riyadh season cards. Skye Nicolson, the first women's fight will be happening this card in Saudi Arabia, featuring Skye Nicolson, 11-0, versus Raven Chapman. This will be for Nicholson's WBC women's featherweight title. It's the first Riyadh season women's card, as I alluded to. Well, what do we have here? Interesting fight, most definitely, because it's going to be a good fight overall. Skye Nicolson obviously has a lot of fans, both undefeated women here fighting, and Skye has her eyes set on Amanda Serrano. This was something that has been talked about a lot. It's always a little bit of concern when somebody has their eyes set on somebody after this fight instead of focusing on this fight. I don't think it's that big of a problem. I think she'll be just fine. But Skye Nicolson wins here, sets up a massive fight against Amanda Serrano potentially next. That's something to keep an eye on for that one. And then the last one I want to address on the Riyadh season card is Ben Whittaker, 8-0, versus Liam Cameron, 23-6 at the light heavyweight division. I'm excited for this fight. I get it. I love boxing. I love the fundamentals of boxing. I appreciate it all. But I do have a little bit of excitement when I watch Ben Whittaker fight. The way he fights, the uniqueness of his fighting, and the way it's still very, very successful when he dominates fights either way with it, intrigues me. Now, is it my favorite style in the world? Maybe not, but I love watching Ben Whittaker fight, and I get that's going to be a polar opposite approach and mindset for a lot of people, especially people that love boxing and the traditional footwork and that stuff like I do. However, I think it's unique. And what we haven't seen is this large-scale outing for Ben Whittaker. This is going to be his biggest performance. Now, yes, his last one was obviously great. A lot of fans there showing up for that fight on a big stage, but this type of card showing out in front of the whole world that's going to be watching is going to be interesting to see him fight. 8-0 fights Liam Cameron, and you know, his drunken master style is unique. Obviously, a lot of people it's very controversial as well. It's going to be interesting to see how that happens. And what I was intrigued to see, though, is that he said in an interview that he actually wants to box in this fight. It got me thinking, though, well, isn't that what he always does? And the truth is that, yes, he is an incredible boxer. He's more than capable of doing that. But he decides to do all the dancing and stuff he does because it just gets him in rhythm. He knows how much better he is than other people. He puts on a show for followers and makes his next fights bigger. But he says that when he actually wants to fight, and when he gets the opportunity to, he will pursue that. So that's something we have to see. I don't know if it's true or not, but it'll be interesting to see. And we have to remember, he is a silver medalist in the 2020 Olympics. He knows how to box, folks. Who's he fighting, you might ask, though? Well, Liam Cameron. He's been extremely active since his 5-year layoff. This will be his 5th fight in just about a year, a couple days over a year in total for himself. Here's what his game plan needs to be, though. What Liam Cameron has done overall and throughout his career is that he's an aggressive fighter. He's not afraid to do something maybe a little bit dirty or questionable to slow a guy down. And he probably will need to do that if he wants to beat Ben Whittaker. What we saw last time, his last fight against Lyndon Arthur, is that he had the rabbit punch. No there. Got deducted a point for that. He also had a punch after the bell. Can't do that. Lost another point there. It was a good, interesting fight, though, in which he fought there. But this will be his 5th fight, like I said, in just a little bit, about a year. So he's very, very active. His biggest thing, you can't let Ben get in groove. Ben likely is not going to come out of the gate dancing and showboating. He likes to do that more so when he gets going and he feels that he's completely conquered you and beat you then. And if he lets Ben start dancing, Ben becomes a guy that you don't want to fight. I say that because, no, he probably won't knock you out, but he's in such a groove. He's so locked in. He's going to dance around you. You can't do anything about that because it's so unpredictable. And it's very, very hard to prepare for a guy like Ben Whittaker when he has that type of style. Therefore, he can't let Ben go into his groove. If Ben starts dancing and showboating on him, it's going to be a long night for Liam Cameron. They're going to go 12 rounds, and it's going to be a 12-0 fight type of card night. So that's going to be interesting to see. That's what I got for you guys, though, in the Riyadh season card. Saturday, one of the biggest cards you could ever ask for in boxing. It's going to be commencing going down on October 12th. On October 12th, though, before the Riyadh season card goes down, we got another thing going on out in Japan. Sivenathi, Nontshinga will be fighting against Masamichi Yabuki. Now, Nontshinga is 13-1. Yabuki, he is 16-4. This IBF World Light Flyweight is going to be on the line here for Nontshinga, and it'll be going down in Japan. Now, let me give you guys a little insight. I understand a lot of people don't have a lot of knowledge in regards to lower weight classes. Sivenathi is a guy that has been fighting in South Africa. He's from South Africa. He's 25 years old. He's already a two-time world champion. He already avenged his loss to Adrian Curiel, in which he regained his world title. Now, they're also both KO artists. Nontshinga has 20 KOs in his career. Yabuki has 15 career KOs. Both these guys are going to be high-level guys. Yes, they're in the lower weight classes, light flyweight. I think it's going to be an interesting fight. Nontshinga, as I said, he's got a lot of skill, a lot of talent, a lot of power. Both guys are exceptionally power gifted. And it's going to be an entertaining fight. Just to go 12 rounds, I'd be a little bit shocked there. I think this is going to be a fight that ends in a KO. That's what we're going to have to start off the day, though, in October 12th. Let's head over days now. Because October 13th and 14th kind of blend together from the standpoint of a very unique setup that Top Rank decided to put together. They're going out to Japan, Tokyo, Japan, and out there is going to be back-to-back days, same stadium, mega fight card after mega fight card on Sunday the 13th and on Monday the 14th. So let's break it down, starting off on October 13th. Let's get to it. Day one, main event, Takuma Inoue, 20-1 in his career with 5 career KOs. We'll be fighting Seiya Tsutsumi. He's 11 wins, 0 losses, and 2. He also has 8 KOs in his career. This will be for Inoue's WBA bantamweight title. For a little bit insight into these two guys, for those that don't know, Takuma Inoue, Naoya Inoue's younger brother, he is going to be fighting for the first time, or he has not lost since 2019. And for Tsutsumi, he's on a 6-fight win streak. Now, this should be a very, very good fight. Japanese style of boxing is very aggressive. Get right after it. Both these guys fight that type of style. When Tsutsumi has obviously had some very, very good fights recently. Obviously, had the tragic incident that occurred last year in December, and which caused obviously horrible, tragic passing in that fight. But this will be a fight that's going to be one of the best fights of this weekend, I truly do believe. In a way, he's likely going to set up himself up with a win here, who against the guys going to be fighting headlining the Monday night card in Junta Nakatani. I discussed this before. The winner of those two fights, that if Nakatani can beat Inoue, then Nakatani gets the massive mega fight against Naoya. So that's going to be something to keep an eye on there. That should be a massive, massive fight to watch. Let's head down to the co-main event of that night. Kenshiro Teraji, he's 23-1. We'll be fighting Cristofer Rosales. He's 37-6. This will be for Teraji's WBA and the vacant WBC light flyweight title. Both of them are on a 5-fight win streak. Another title is going to be in the line here. Another guys that's going to be a very, very good fight. Like I said, both guys 5 win streaks. They've been active, going right after it. Should be a good one there. Then we head over to Seigo Yuri Akui. He's 22-1. He'll be fighting Tanachi Kurupak. He is 25-1. Now for Akui's WBA flyweight title will be on the line in this fight. Both guys have not lost since 2018 in this one. So that's obviously going to be a big fight to see go down there as well. Once again, another belt fight will be on the line in the fight that's going to be happening right before these guys get out there. And so Shikiwa Iwata, he's 13-1, fighting Jairo Noriga, 14-0. This will be for the vacant WBO light flyweight title. Iwata is on a 4-fight win streak in this one. Obviously, Jairo has not to lose in his career. When you have 4 world championship fights going on back to back to back, it's a sensational thing. I think this is going to be the way you start the day off. You're starting off with a world championship fight, the flyweight division, light flyweight division, going to be a great fight there as well. Both guys are extremely talented. Now, calendar flips. We go over to October 14th, day 2. 3 of the final world championship fights will be commencing out of the 11 total that'll be going down this weekend. Let's hop into the main event. Junto Nakatani, 28-0, 21 KOs versus Peach Sor Chapata. He's 76-1 in his career, 53 KOs. This will be for Nakatani's WBC bantamweight title. Now, the interesting thing here, we just talked about Takuma Inoue. The last loss for Pech will be against him in 2018. So he's going to be in his great fight here. He's obviously a 77-fight experience, only lost though in his career to Takuma Inoue. Should be a grueling one. A great veteran that Junto will fight. Junto's been active, just fought a couple months ago, and he's setting himself up with a win here to possibly go fight Takuma Inoue for a unifying championship fight there, setting himself up possibly then for the massive fight for what could, after the Beterbiev Bivol fight, become the biggest fight to make in boxing between Junto Nakatani and Inoue. That's what we're going to have to see now, because he's basically 2 wins away from one of the biggest paydays and one of the biggest fights you can make in boxing. This will be a great fight to see. As I said, to end the weekend off with this main event will be sensational watching and witness. Let's go to the co-main event here, though. Kosai Tanaka, 20-1. He'll be fighting Family Kafu. He is 20-0-3. This will be for Tanaka's WBO super flyweight title. Tanaka is on a 5-fight win streak, while Kafu is on a 6-fight win streak. Another great fight. We're going to have a super flyweight title on the line, and it should be an interesting fight to see there as well. Both guys very, very talented in that fight. Last fight to address of this jam-packed, loaded weekend of boxing. Anthony Alasquas, he is 7-1. We'll be fighting Jonathan Gonzalez, 28-3-1. This will be for Alasquas' WBO flyweight title. Alasquas, he's on a 2-fight win streak, and it'll be his first title defense since getting his belt. As for Gonzalez, he's on a 6-fight win streak since losing to Kosai Tanaka, who we just obviously talked about just moments ago. Both these guys are talented. Now, we obviously know the big-time fighters in the flyweight division, and this one will be interesting to see what happens. Gonzalez is ranked by most people over Alasquas, even though Alasquas is going to be the one having the belt. So that's obviously an interesting story when you have that type of situation unfold. It will be a good fight to see, though. I would favor Jonathan Gonzalez in this fight, but very, very good fight overall. Gonzalez is a more experienced fighter. He's had a lot more. He's gone through a lot more. He should understand the ropes. And this is the way you're going to start off the final day of boxing this weekend. So that should be a good fight to watch to kick off Monday morning of fights. So that's what I've got for you guys in regards to the fight recap. This weekend will be a sensational weekend. As I said for the many times, 11 belts will be on the line over a 3-day span, and it's going to be sensational. Massive fights, and that includes one of the biggest fights that we have had in boxing of this entire century of the past 24 years, almost 25 years now. It's not going to be a weekend you're going to want to miss.